Good morning and welcome to From a Skein podcast. My name is Kristen and I am also known as Knitting Chris on Ravelry and Instagram. And my Facebook account is just more private and doesn't have a lot of knitting content on it. So you can find me on those two platforms if you're interested. I'll be honest, I have not kept my Ravelry project page up to date. I need to work on that. So with some of my projects, that's one of the things that I need to do. But I'm coming to you from a random Wednesday here in Pennsylvania. I actually had the day off work. I have some extra PTO time. The company that I work for made some changes in their PTO policy, and this is kind of not probably what you wanted to hear, but I'll tell you anyway. So I'm at max PTO because I'm a longer term employee of that health system, and they don't let you accrue it once you actually hit that maximum amount. And I've been saving up because we're going on a trip. I'm going to use some of it. But anyway, I took off today to take my mom to a doctor's appointment, and I had some things to show. So I thought, well, why not hop on and do a little podcast for you? So welcome. I'm glad that you're joining me for a couple minutes to talk about all things knitting, fiber related, that kind of thing. So thanks for showing up. So I will start off with finished objects. I have more than one. But we'll start off with the thing that I'm most sort of excited about, and I'll tell you why. At the end of February, it's not my first, but the first great nephew on my side of the family was born. So his name is Levi, and at Christmas time, I decided I was going to knit him a little sweater, but I never finished it, and it was okay. I just said, I'll knit it for when he's born because I knew he would be born hopefully in February, early March, and it's even not even a big project. I just really didn't have time to sit down and fuss with the parts of the sweater that I thought were a little more fiddly and might require a little more of my attention. But I'm happy to say that it is one of my finished objects today, and I get to meet him tonight. So I'm super happy to be able to gift it to him and his parents tonight. So I just wanted to show you this. This is his sweater, and I am just in love with it. I've knit this pattern several times. This is the Baby Sophisticate Sweater, and it is by Linden Down. It is a free pattern on Ravelry for the 3 and 6 month sizes. I did knit, it calls for Aran weight, so nothing I'm giving away here is from a paid pattern. It calls for Aran weight yarn and a US 8 or 5.0 millimeter needle, which is what I used. I did knit the 6 to 12 month size, and because I am I didn't do a gauge swatch for this. Now we can talk about gauge, and that could be a whole episode, but I think for garments, it is usually important to knit a gauge swatch. I am a bad person about doing gauge swatches. I rarely do them. I really rarely do them. Am I going to do them for some petite knit patterns that I have in my queue and that I want to knit? Yes, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be doing that. For this, I did not. I can tell you a little bit about my gauge. My gauge is usually looser than most people. And what that means, if you're not familiar with gauge, is that the pattern writer will say they want this many stitches to the inch using this size needle, or this many stitches to 4 inches, and they will tell you what the gauge is. This was 15 stitches and 4 rows equals 4 inches. I don't even know what my gauge is on this. That's terrible. But I was not concerned. I wanted to knit a bigger pattern, I wanted to knit a bigger sweater, I should say. I wanted to knit a bigger sweater. So I knit this 6 month size because he was born in February. I want him to be able to wear it this fall. So I think it's probably a little bit bigger than maybe it is a 6 to 12 month, I would say. It is knit in again, acrylic. When I'm knitting for somebody, baby, you know, they can spit up, they can get dirty, they can blah, blah, blah. It needs to be washable and easily cared for by a parent. So I did knit this in acrylic. I believe this is, I love this yarn in the denim colorway. I had it left over from a project that I had made a while ago, and I had 2 skeins. Unfortunately, they were different dye lots. I did alternate the skeins on the body of the sweater, so it would give it a more uniform look, so you couldn't really tell, because I felt like one was definitely darker. I did not alternate the skeins on the sleeves or on the button band and this little fold down collar, and it's just knit with executed by making short rows, which are super simple. I think if you're gonna do, this is also a raglan, so it has a raglan increase. I think if you're gonna do a sweater and you wanna make a baby garment, this is an excellent first choice pattern. I feel like the free pattern for this is very good. I had bought other buttons for this. I was looking for these exact buttons, and I'll just kind of do a little bit of a close-up here. I don't know whether the camera will focus on them. They're kind of like, they used to be leather buttons back in the day, like these covered leather buttons, and they're shank button. So they're not a button that you'll see the thread from your, you know, sewing them on. You won't see that part in the button. It goes through the bottom part of the shank of the button. So I couldn't find them at any local craft stores. Joann's used to carry them, but Joann's, we all know Joann's is going out of business. But I had another random day off last week, and my daughter and I went to this Mennonite quilt shop. I would say quilt shop, but it's really just like fabric and sewing store. And it's kind of interesting because I haven't been there in well over like a decade, maybe even 2. We used to go there. It's not even that far from my house, like maybe a half an hour. We used to go there because they had the sweetest little baby bonnets, not black like you would think of, like if you think of Amish or anything, not a white head covering, but the sweetest little pretty little girl bonnets. And I would wear them on my daughter when she was so little, and she looked so sweet. And well, she's not so little anymore. She's grown, and she has her own job and teaching. So it was nice to just be able to show her that that's where we bought her bonnets. And it's an interesting store. They speak Pennsylvania Dutch in there, some of the employees, to people who not only deliver their supplies to each other, they will speak that. But I had an interesting conversation with the owner, who I have known a little bit in the past. And I told her, you know, they have a lot of, it's all fabrics, beautiful, beautiful fabrics. Anything you could possibly want. I don't know, I'm not a quilter, so I can't tell you if they have certain types of fabrics or if they can order them in or whatever. It seems like they have multiple things there that you'd want. Like it just, I was amazed by their selection. But they had a great button selection, which was what I was really into, and so I was happy to get these there. I also spoke with the owner, like I was saying, and she actually offered to teach me how to hand quilt. I don't even know why I'm still thinking about this. I really should take her up on her offer. I have my great-grandmother's quilts that she hand quilted, and they're beautiful. And I would love to learn how to do it. And this lady has volunteered to show me how to hand quilt. I should be jumping at this chance. So I'm thinking about it seriously and hoping that I can come up with, you know, with a decision, because I really want to do it. I think the owner of the shop is also, she's like, we could do it in the evening, because I told her I work during most days. So she very graciously said we could do it in the evenings, and you know, whatever evening, you know. So I might take her up on it and just see, you know, what it would be like to at least learn the basics. But again, that's opening a whole nother rabbit hole, and we all know how that kind of goes for people who do crafting, right? But again, this is the Baby Sophisticate. Just to give a back view, I think it's an excellent pattern. Again, it's for free. I almost feel like I should purchase the paid for pattern. There is a paid for version of this that actually has more sizes, up to size 10 for a child, and it says improved sizing for the 3 and 6 months, and I think construction updates. So I still think the free pattern is a great pattern, and I still think it comes out with a really great finished object, and I'm super happy to give it to him tonight. So that's one of the things that I've been working on finishing, and I'm happy, super happy with the results of it. So that's one of the things that I finished. The other thing, I think I showed this hat last time. This is a modified version. I need to make my own, but that's my husband's version. From this book by Nancy Bates, Knitting the National Parks. And so we're hoping to visit some national parks on our upcoming trip. This is a great book. If you don't have it, I would highly recommend it. It's funny because I'm so used to knitting from like a PDF or something online, like using my iPad or my phone, or just, you know, an online pattern, that knitting with a book is somewhat challenging for me, just logistically while I'm knitting. This book, I will say this, has, you know, your directions, and you must read a chart with, for a lot of them you'll see are, I can show you the back, are color work designs. So you do have to be able to read a chart. And it's very simple. If you've never read a chart, it goes, I think there might be some tutorial in here, and obviously there's YouTube. I am not a huge chart reader, and it was not a problem for me at all. So I did finish 2 more hats from that. The first one is not, I guess some people would say it's not completely finished because I don't have the ends woven in true Kristen fashion, but it's knit on size US 5 needles for the brim, and then US 7 for the body of the hat. And this is the Mount Rainier hat, and it's all over colorwork except for the brim. It's knit completely out of Malabrigo Rios, which is their worsted weight yarn, in several different colors. I think the main, or the green, is the ivy color, and then it has some different ones dispersed throughout the hat, and then the white is like the natural. And it does call for a palm on the top. I don't think, my husband doesn't want a palm on his version of this hat. This is my version. I probably, if I put a palm, will put a fluffy kind of one, a white one on the top, or so. It is to depict, I do believe, the green here, and then the flowers in the springtime right above the tree line, and then the mountains here of Mount Rainier. It's a beautiful hat. The color work was not really very hard. There was just a lot of it. There wasn't, I'm really happy to show you my inside, because I'm always like wondering, like, what do people's insides look like, right? So here's my inside of my hat with the floats, without the ends woven over here. They are. So this really wasn't hard as far as colorwork knitting goes. The only place I really had to like catch the floats was, I think maybe right in this section in here was a place that otherwise there was enough throughout that you could just alternate, and it's pretty good. I didn't block it yet, so I would suspect that after I block it, the stitches will even become a little bit more even in nature than they are now. But I think it's gorgeous, and I absolutely love it. It's a great hat. It's more of a beanie. Mine will be slouchy. I probably will make this, I did make this brim section. It called for 1.5 inch, 1 to 1.5 inches. I made it closer to a little over 2, just because I wanted it to be a little more slouchy for me. But I love it. Perfect. Like, I really think it's really pretty. And then in the next version hat is, and this one is finished. The ends are woven in, but I did not cut them off yet, I don't think. This is the Crater Lake beanie, and it is made with a really long ribbing brim here, because the thought of this one is that you will roll it up like that, thus. So this is obviously your shoreline here, and the trees here, the sky, and then this is to depict Crater Lake itself with the little island in the middle. This probably is one of my favorite hats I've ever knit. I love I love everything about it. So I had all the called for yarn except for this kind of like background tan, and I just subbed in, it's all knit out of Malabrigo Rios. So this is the Va colorway. I believe this is Matisse Blue. This is, I'm not sure what exactly it is. It's the called for color. And this Matisse Blue is just like stunning to me, and I'm just in love with it. And this, I actually subbed in not camel, I think, yeah, camel. And I thought it did a good job of doing the skyline. It's a great hat. I'm happy to put it on for you. It's sort of like, you can make it slouchy, you can do whatever. I'm not going to put anything on the top of it. I'm just going to wear mine like that. And I love it. So I just did another one, which it didn't take very long. It took less than a week, and I wasn't working on it, you know, solely just working on that. So I wasn't working on it monogamously, but I love it. So those are my finished objects, and my hair is kind of like crazy, but oh well, I hope you'll forgive that. What else I've been working on? Of course, some socks. I think when we last met, I had a bunch of socks that I showed you. Right now, I am finishing a pair of socks. This is the first one. This is in Beehive Yarns, her Audrey base. And it's, I believe, an 80-20, I could be wrong. It's just a broken garter or rib pattern. So it's really not a pattern, it's just like a stitch that I did. So 24 rounds of the knit 2, purl 2 ribbing. And then I did knit 2, purl 2, ribbing on one round and knit on the other round. So it kind of gives this broken up, which I don't know if it's garter rib or broken, like, I don't know, I'm not quite sure what it's referred to. And you're probably shouting it out, but that's okay. So this came as a contrast with the contrast skein for the heels and toes, or you could even use it for the cuff too. And it's the Celebrate colorway in Beehive Yarns, their Audrey base. These probably aren't for me. I'm gonna be real honest. It's a little pastel-y for me. They're beautiful. It's gorgeous. I'm a huge fan of her sock yarn. Her sock yarn is amazing. Her dye job, phenomenal. Look at those speckles. I mean, you can just see like going through the sock. It's great. The only thing I did, and just finagled, did some yarn management here so that you would have, you know, the ribbing to kind of stay a little bit consistent throughout the instep and then down into the foot. And then I did use just a regular heel here. I wish I would have done a contrasting, not contrasting, I guess I have the partridge heel. That's the only thing. I think it looks prettier. I think it's a little bit tighter for me in my own knitting. And then I just did a standard that toe. So I don't know who these will be for, but in full honesty, I'm probably going to finish them today. This is the second sock, so there's 2 of them. And I just need to finish the toe on this. And you can see I have it on a magic loop because even though I knit my socks mostly on 9-inch circulars, when I get to that toe, when I do the heel, I do switch over to magic loop. It's kind of a little bit wonky right now with the needles hanging everywhere and things, but it is, like, again, these speckles are amazing. Her dye work is phenomenal. So I just thought I would show that to you. It seems like I'm knitting. I say I don't like pink. I don't prefer pink, you know, but it seems like I knit a lot of pink, and it seems like, I don't know, it's included in some portion of my knitting. So I don't know. It just is, I guess, huh? So my next sock yarn I wound up last night because I had to take my mom to the doctor today, and I thought, well, I'll have time to knit, but I really didn't. We were kind of like the first patients there, so we were in and out, which was fabulous. But I wound up some yarn last night, and this is Yarn Ink in the Vibe colorway. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna get away from pink and knit something maybe a little bit darker. There's still pink in there, right? Maybe you can see it from this end. There's actually gray, some green. This isn't real great lighting in here. gray, green, lighter, maybe like, I don't know, flesh colored, and then some almost orange color in it, which you can't really see. So hopefully, but anyway, there it is, still kind of on a pink. It's like an 85-15 base. So I'm gonna, so 85% merino, 15% nylon. I'm gonna knit them up, see how they come out. I do think it's a little bit more of a neutral, and like if I do knit pinks, this is probably what I'm gonna knit. So, you know, it's okay. So we'll see how they turn out. I'm kind of excited. I love having socks on the needles. They are almost always, you know, with me. I take them with me as a traveling project. I use them, you know, I knit them in the car. I knit them at work on break. I knit them, you know, whenever I have a couple minutes, I knit a couple of rows. So if anybody wants to know, like, how do you do socks? I don't knit as like some people do, but I definitely do knit some, you know, knit a fair amount of socks. That's probably one of my most knit things. So, and another project that I thought, I'm just going to bring it up here on Ravelry, that I would like to be knitting, and I thought I would show you the yarn for it here, is the Grid Gambit. It's a pattern. I was trying to bring it up and it's not coming up for me. There we go. It's by Samantha. I believe it's Guerin. It's Guerin, Samantha. And it's called the Grid Gambit. It's a cowl, and it is knit with like a solid yarn, and then a I'll say like a dyed in the wool, kind of not variegated, but kind of color shifting yarn. So I think that's really neat. It's a cowl worked flat at the beginning, and then I think it's seamed together with increases and decreases. So I'm knitting mine in the main color is this North Bay fiber, which is really pretty. It's called White Cap, and I'll show you here. It's their Heritage DK yarn, and its put up is, it's a non-super wash 2-ply woolen spun, 150 yards per 50 grams gain. So there you go. That'll be the base color. And then interspersed throughout it, I got this also, and this is American wool, so I also think that's nice. This is 100% American wool. It's from Junction Fiber Mill up in Vermont, called Making Tracks. So this will provide the contrast color with this, which I think it should pop pretty much. This is the Carnival colorway, which I hope I'm holding that the correct way. No, I'm not. It's the Carnival colorway, and I don't know. Whoop, there you go. If you can see it. And that's pretty color accurate too. And if you notice, oh my gosh, is that pink? No. I think it might be some pink. But this color is kind of cool. It has like almost like purples, some of that maroon pink, blue, yellow, brown. I just thought it was really fun. So it'll be, again, with this, if you want to look at what it is, it's the Junction Fiber Mill. It's very, very similar to some other yarns of its type, but I've never used this brand, the Dyed in the Wool by Spin Cycle. I've used in the past, but I've never used this brand, Making Tracks, from Junction Fiber Mill. So I'm excited. I'm going to try and cast that on and maybe hopefully get it knit up before we go on a trip. So I think that is really all I have for today for you. I've been reading some things on my Kindle. Again, nothing really super exciting. I think a Rebecca Yarros book that wasn't part of the Fourth Wing series, Things We Leave Unfinished or something like that. It was a really good book. I had recommended. I'm now reading All the Flowers in Paris, I believe, by Sarah Hoyo. That is a flashback between current day and World War II occupied France, which I seem to love, that historical novel kind of genre. That's what I've been doing. I've been exercising, and we got our first hike in on Sunday. So that was excellent, because we live near it's not a national park, but it's a state park. We live a couple miles from a state park. So not even a couple, like a mile from a state park. And I like walking and hiking in there. And so the snow has finally disappeared from that area, and ice mainly. That's the worst thing, is the ice in not only driving a vehicle, but also if you're on a bike or skis or anything like that. Skis aren't so bad sometimes, but ice itself, if you're walking, you really need to have some kind of like spikes or something. So it's gone now, so you can walk back there, and that's great. I really enjoy that. So that's what we've been doing, and also just going to hear some live music. We have a lot of people, and I'm sure in your area you probably have this too, like at local breweries or wineries and things like that have live music. It's local talent. They do a lot of cover stuff. Sometimes they do originals. We went to hear a harder rock band the other week at a place that's local. They were good. They were really good, and that was around St. Patrick's Day. And then last weekend, I have been dying to hear this one group singing, because I've seen their videos like on, I guess, Facebook maybe or something. Or maybe I think they might have a band page too. And they were phenomenal. They were an acoustic kind of band, and I actually love them. Had a lovely dinner at a winery, and it was just really a nice evening. So I hope that whatever you're doing, you're doing something you love, something creative, and just always, enjoying and embracing that time and that part of you. Thank you so much for being here with me today and for watching. If you could, please like and subscribe to my channel. That just gives me, some more exposure to more people. And I would love to interact with you. So again, thanks for taking the time. Hope you have a great day. Take care.